So I think it's safe to say the most common cigar size is somewhere between a Robusto and a Corona. That being said, there's still a market out there for thicker ring gauges and longer sizes, which begs the question, does size matter as it pertains to the flavor of your cigar? To answer this question, we're going to be looking at the Cookie and Half Cookie from Lost and Found Cigars. Originally released as a Lancero in 2020, the Cookie was one of the most sought after cigars to end the year. So much to the point where they re-released the blend to make a shorter Rothschild version of it, the Half Cookie, which suits its name but also has people saying,
it's better than the Cookie Lancero was, in my opinion, of course.
Personally, between the two, I would pick up the Lancero due to its uniqueness in size, as I don't see a lot of them at brick and mortars. Whereas my boy Turtle, on the other hand, would prefer the Rothschild version because he believes it offers a better balance between flavor and time. Now, our palates frequently align and we typically enjoy the same brands, so why do so many of us agree to disagree here? When having this discussion, we considered how media might have played a role into this. If you look back at pop culture through the lens of masculinity, anytime you saw a guy smoking a cigar in movies or magazines, it was usually a thicker ring gauge or Churchill style, whereas thinner, shorter tobacco was perceived as more feminine. Doubling down on this idea, Philip Morris made up the Marlboro Man, advertising what it is to be the ideal male, and later introduced Virginia Slims to market towards women. So you can see where this old way of thinking has permeated into the zeitgeist of what it is to be a manly man as it pertained to what stick you were lighting up. Now, as we've worked our way into the 21st century, shorter cigars have become more appealing as you don't always have the luxury of time to enjoy a 2-hour smoke, especially if that means having to babysit how fast or slow you need to draw on it. But if time isn't a factor and you're sitting down for flavor, this is where things get interesting. Depending on who you ask, 60 to 90% of what you taste in a cigar comes from the outer wrapper leaf. So one would think the more wrapper you have to smoke should mean the more flavor you have to taste when you compare it to a shorter blend. However, if you paid attention to my last video, it all comes down to one word, and that's ratio. Manufacturers know that a cigar will never be a 1-to-1 exact replica, especially when you're rolling for a different size. So they do their very best at meeting in the middle here by adjusting the ring gauge so you can include more or less binder and filler to assure a similar flavor profile across different vitolas. They even take in the combustion rate in consideration when lighting a cigar closer or further away from your palate, or at least the good ones do. And wow, did we have a good one, because it is crazy just how close these two tasted from one another. Both their flavor profiles were consistent, with the only real difference here being the intensity of those flavors in some areas. But I would rate both of these cigars a 7 out of 10. So at the end of the day, the real differences here are not really based on flavor, but your personal experience overall. If you're sitting down for the long haul, then carry a big stick. But if time is indeed a factor, then keep it short. But as always, keep it you, and I'll see you in the next one.